How ingeniously can you utilize 4.80 meters of length? 7 people can travel in it, and you'll still have plenty of space for your luggage. But why did Peugeot opt for this drive system? With three-phase 11 kilowatt charging and a standard onboard solution providing 7.4 kilowatt charging capacity, what's the reason? What exactly was Peugeot considering with this battery-powered concept? And with that, a warm welcome to a brand new episode of Simply Electric featuring the Peugeot E-5008. We've prepared the base for you with front-wheel drive and the smaller battery pack with 73 kilowatt hours net. And I'm totally torn, which might make the intro pleasantly different this time. Different from what you're typically accustomed to on our channel. Please differentiate in this video all that I specifically mention regarding the car, like its size, its proportions, its interior, the infotainment system, the space available inside, and so forth, and what I critically express this time about the electric drivetrain, and also in relation to the electric drivetrain, particularly concerning its battery pack. Because this time we truly need to have a real conversation about it, as I hold the belief that what Peugeot is offering here is somehow not aligning with what people are actually seeking or demanding. And that's exactly what we want to take a closer look at together in this video today. But before we start, could you please check if it's possible to you to electrically, you're in the electric community, we'd love your support through a subscription. It's free for you, but it helps us grow the channel, which allows us to continue creating constructively critical and interesting videos on electromobility for you. I'd suggest we don't waste any time and delve into the detailed features of the brand new Peugeot E-5008 right now. As we normally do, we begin outside at the front to check out the front end of the brand new Peugeot E-5008. And truthfully, it's essential to highlight that Peugeot offers this vehicle in different versions, as a mild hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and now fully battery electric too. I firmly believe Peugeot has truly excelled in crafting an exceptionally captivating design. This isn't only because every new Peugeot logo with the lion is seamlessly integrated here, but also due to the 5008 badge placed discreetly at the top, combined with the grille's intricate structure that's harmonious with the car's color. I genuinely love every aspect of it. Absolutely fantastic. It's designed to be multi-modular, naturally. These lion claws stand out impressively, looking absolutely stunning as the car approaches you, truly enhancing its aesthetic appeal. LED headlights are standard. The GT line version features pixel LED headlights that intelligently switch between high and low beams, providing outstanding visibility and ensuring safety in various driving situations. Yes, Peugeot once gave us a nice blue, which sometimes has the turquoise green tint. I like it very, very much indeed. Additionally, something that brings me great pleasure is this splendid emblem on the fender, which beautifully emphasizes and highlights the brand logo once again. It also looks very, very high quality, very, very elegant. And then we have this typical SUV shape where we basically have the car color and then the edges, in this case, highlighted in glossy black. What Peugeot interprets well, I find, is also the design of the alloy wheels. This is refreshingly different, kind of like the overall design of this vehicle. And on one hand, I believe it looks sleek, sporty, and quite elegant, but it's also aerodynamically optimized. We have two 3555R 19 Continental winter tires fitted here on the vehicle. Yes, Peugeot skips the use of chrome and instead integrates a beautifully crafted silver-painted element, adding a touch of elegance to the design. Otherwise, as mentioned, we have a shiny black roof. This is also part of the GT line along with this beautiful blue. You have 6 stunning exterior colors to choose from, and the car is almost 4.8 meters long, yet it feels significantly larger and more mature than expected. The elevated roofline comfortably seats 3 in the second row and 2 more in a third, making it a practical 7-seater for families or groups. The charging port is on the driver's side, which might be a minor inconvenience depending on parking situations or charging station access. When you're essentially charging at a lamppost because you always need to position the cable all the way around or underneath the car itself? Personally, I think it's better to have it on the passenger side, but feel free to share in the comments where you'd most prefer your charging port to be located. Yes, if Stefan takes a few steps back, you can clearly see the rear section in all its detail, and that's what distinctly sets it apart from the E-5008. We've already introduced it to you, which has such a nice coupe-like line. about 25 centimeters shorter in length, and here you basically have the extension of the E-5008 with the almost vertical rear section. The LED taillights of the GT line version distinctively come with both an inviting welcome and a farewell animation. That's brilliantly sleek. I also find the bumper done very nicely below with that shiny glossy black finish. And there's yet another silver-grey painted line featured once more, functioning as a sort of protective element. Then perhaps when you bump into it with luggage or a crate of water. And yes, we have a subtle rear spoiler, where I would have wished that maybe this beautiful rear wiper, which many of you like to use, perhaps it could have been integrated down here instead. That would have made for a visually striking element, as it really would have emphasized and accentuated the design line along with the snack bar even more prominently and attractively. It's disappointing that Peugeot unfortunately comes equipped with such a large and bulky shark fin. Packed a knob on it. This is the extra large version, and I would have wished that maybe Peugeot had integrated the technology into the side mirrors, the windows, and the bodywork. Peugeot ingeniously ensured that you can easily spot the electric version by simply placing an E for electric ride on it. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, so everyone knows what's going on here.
Let's talk about the dimensions. The Peugeot E-5008 is 4.79 meters and a bit, so rounding up, it's 4.80 meters. The width is 1.89 meters, and including the mirrors, it comes to a total width of 2.11 meters. It becomes quite tight in the construction zone on the left lane, particularly on the highway. He is 1.69 meters tall. For comparison, I'm 1.85 meters tall, and his wheelbase is 2 meters and 90. You can obtain it with 2 different battery sizes and 3 diverse drive options. We have the basic configuration with 157 kilowatts, which equates to 213 horsepower, and this vehicle provides 345 newton-meters of torque. The electric motor is located on the front axle, effectively driving that axle. Therefore, we have the classic setup with front-wheel drive and a net 73 kilowatt-hours ready for use on board. Should you desire a larger battery capacity, Peugeot provides an extended long-range version as an alternative. Then the front motor also has a bit more power, namely 170 kilowatts. It stays at 345 newton-meters, and the net usable battery capacity increases to almost 97 kilowatt-hours net or 101 kilowatt-hours gross, which benefits this car greatly as the base already weighs a good 2.2 tons. With a large battery, it's even a solid 2.3 tons. You know that SUVs often act like big walls in the wind, which can result in increased fuel use, especially during those colder winter months when conditions are not exactly ideal. We'll discover that together during the consumption drive, coupled with the comprehensive charging check. Who says, man, I really need an all-wheel drive, will likely be pleased in the future with the introduction of 2 electric motors providing about 240 kilowatts, 326 horsepower, and over 500 Newton-meter of torque, although probably only in connection with the smaller battery. And when we do the consumption test later, determining the consumption over land, you'll find that especially when the second electric motor kicks in, it might indeed be quite beneficial to think about having a larger battery pack. Ultimately, this decision is in your hands. Starting in Germany at 51,150 euros at the time of this video creation, or through leasing. Beginning from 479 euros, this figure certainly appears to be far more intriguing at first glance when compared to the gross list price perhaps. Yes, it also charges here at the charging port on the driver's side with 3-phase AC at a maximum of 11 kilowatts. And then I read, Stefan, that if you choose the aluminum equipment, the base one, you even receive a charging cable included with it. Yes. That's rather sophisticated, but here it clearly mentions a Mode 3 Type 2 cable, which delivers up to 7.4 kilowatts and it measures 6 meters in length.
Something's not right there, is it?
So, my dear Peugeot pals, what's really going on with you? You've built an 11 kilowatt charger but only provide a 7.4 kilowatt cable with it?
Nobody understands that.
So, and this is the first instance where I have questions. The second moment that raises questions for me is when they install a 400-volt battery pack, which can charge with up to 160 kilowatts DC, which is quite a decent value. 20 to 80% takes half an hour. 10 to 80 probably somewhere around mid-30 to 40 minutes. We'll find that out during the charging check. And they probably do not include any thermal management system?
No system for preconditioning or anything, nothing at all?
Yeah, you remember when we had the appointment south of Berlin, we hooked up to the charger,
Yeah.
and it was only loading at 20 kilowatts, even though we had driven roughly 150 kilometers beforehand.
Yeah.
Right, simply because of the outside temperature. And I wonder, Peugeot, you're following the market, aren't you? You also observe how other companies receive criticism for such solutions and then intend to present us in 2024, 2025 with exactly the same old technology, right?
Yes, I'm saying something went wrong with that.
So, and I find that really unfortunate because if we look at the car as a whole, I could imagine that it could be an incredibly exciting car for many families. But maybe, if they want to travel more frequently, they might find themselves struggling a bit with the overall charging performance. And the next thing I'm wondering is, if you charge to 100% here, the display shows over 500 kilometers of range. But you really don't achieve that. So why don't you show the range based on your average consumption from the onboard computer?
Isn't that an Iverson, right?
Let's check under the hood, and it opens manually right up here in the front. That's pretty standard and also quite sensible. And then we've got a sort of hook here, similar to what's on my 93 Golf because Peugeot opted not to include hood latches in their design. Yeah, up here everything is nicely insulated, the electric motor is installed underneath, and this makes me wonder for a second time, just why not? Why doesn't Peugeot design a practical front tray here instead of this cover, allowing you to conveniently store your Type 2 charging cable, your essential Schuko emergency set, and more, which can be tidily stored here, ensuring it doesn't get mixed up with your other luggage in the trunk. There's an abundance of space here, and it's quite a wasted opportunity. Honestly, they could have easily added about 50, 60, or even up to 80 more liters of trunk volume, and even there, Peugeot can see what the competitors offer. I'm not even talking about the American supercar manufacturer, but also all other competitors who have since learned that a proper electric car, in my personal opinion, definitely needs to include a frunk. Feel free to drop a comment below on your thoughts about how you see this particular situation. Yes, we're curious and would love to hear how that French bent metal actually sounds, don't you agree?
3, 2, 1 dot. All finished.
Many of you rightly say, of course, what do I need a frunk for? I might not even use it. I'd rather put my charging cable in the back. That's also completely legitimate. I can only show you the possibilities of what the space and area offer. With all this space here, it's kind of a waste, right?
It wastes space.
Let's see if Peugeot managed to handle the trunk space more efficiently. The trunk lid opens so very smoothly and electrically, and as you can see, we've got this amazing 7-seater vehicle. I've folded up the third row of seats for you, allowing you to clearly see that even with the third row up, you still have a surprisingly good amount of cargo volume and space available back here. That's 348 liters indeed. Yes, what you can also do, which is very nice, is simply store away the parcel shelf, which of course is also provided with the vehicle, neatly away. That's a clever solution, I think. Not all manufacturers offer that, as where else would you put the parcel shelf if you suddenly need the third row of seats? With the parcel shelf, and underneath you have a very, very nice large storage compartment, also for charging cables and other stuff. And when we consider that this is a platform where combustion engines also have a place, we really have to give Peugeot a huge compliment for how they utilize the space here. Right?
Yeah, they did well with that, that's true.
Well, when I think of some platforms like at BMW, it's just not that generous. So you have the option here to access the third row of seats via these pulling elements to rearrange. The downside is that these straps, you can certainly place them in between, but perhaps they are rather hidden under this loading floor. And so you have the option to go from 348 liters to 900 liters of storage capacity. And when you think about it, Stefan, that you probably mostly use it as a 5-seater, then for 4.80 meters, you've got a mega luggage compartment, right?
You'll get a whole lot in there.
I can imagine that he could very well be best in class there, and probably also offers one of the largest trunk spaces available. That's really quite similar to a Kia EV9 or perhaps the new Hyundai Ioniq 9, which we have already shown you. But then we're talking about vehicle lengths over 5 meters, and Peugeot achieves this with a vehicle length of 4.80 meters. So I have great respect for that, honestly. What is also particularly impressive is the impeccable quality of the build. The French, Peugeot presents a nice, luxurious and thick carpet everywhere here. Everything is very, very valuable, made very, very high quality. Also, on the other hand, very, very chic. We have lashing eyes installed on the sides because some of you might occasionally want to transport heavier objects in the trunk. That's all great. In this particular part, I would have preferred anodized aluminum because I feel that the type of plastic currently used might be prone to scratching pretty easily over time. If you accidentally bump into the high-loading edge with a crate of bottled water or a case of beer, please feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section as you see it. Some people criticize, myself included, sometimes the hard plastic on the trunk lid here, but to be honest, yes, of course it can get scratched. How often do you view it?
Rarely,
Yes, if you say, well, the 900 liters still aren't enough for me, then you definitely have an ingenious option. You can fold down the middle 20%, and that's important for a long object. Or the skis if you say, I love driving the Peugeot E-5008 for winter trips. Compromises you'll have to make are shown in the winter drive and charging check, joking aside. But here you definitely have the opportunity to pass something long all the way to the front. You have the option to fold down 40% on the driver's side, and naturally I need to quickly walk around Stefan to point out that you can also lower 40% on the passenger side. And then we have well over 2,000 liters of load volume available right here. I have to say, holy moly, that's pretty impressive, don't you think?
There's a lot of space here. You can even sleep comfortably in it.
The dresser and the display cabinet from the mother-in-law fit in here, right?
Yes, definitely.
That's nearly at transporter level, wouldn't you say?
That's quite something indeed. That's really well thought out.
I really have to praise Peugeot for that. Of course, we'll get to the critique regarding electrical topics a bit later. So be sure to stay tuned to find out how the video progresses. There's room and plenty of space and all sorts of things. Kudos. By the way, what opens electrically?
Shuts itself.
That's how it should be. And now hopefully with a nice soft close, all smooth, right?
Indeed it does.
Premium, huh? If you're considering a small roof rack or a ski box, especially when traveling with several people, that might be optionally interesting as an additional feature to enhance your journey. Then you should likely have a 75-kilo roof load. I couldn't find any exact info on that.
About 80 or so.
Yes, feel free to write it in the comments. You always have the hive mind when you know it exactly. And what you also receive is the option for an additional trailer hitch.
That's great.
750 kilos unbraked and 1-ton braked towing capacity.
Yes, just a bit too little.
It's not really much, is it? We have criticized the ID.4, ID.5, and other similar models for their towing capacity. We definitely need to line that up with the Peugeot 2, because you've got a big, chunky SUV that's 4.80 meters long, where you might want to tow a horse, where you might want to tow a small sport boat, where you might want to tow a small caravan, where you don't just want to take away garden waste. And I would have really wished for at least 1.5 to 1.8 tons, don't you think? Sort of like with the EV6 or even the new Ioniq 5, right?
Yeah, that would have definitely been cool.
Regarding the support load, I really wanted more. It's apparently 80 kilograms, if I understood that correctly. Vertical support load. You'd ideally want 100 there too, because many of you like to mount a rear bike rack to carry maybe 2, 3, or 4 e-bikes. And they have their own weight too, so I'd say there's definitely still a little bit of catching up needed there, wouldn't you agree? Outside, we've shown you everything. Let's head inside. We want to take a look at the interior together with you. And first, as always, let's do a window check. Here we have single glazing, so it's not two panes connected with a film. Whether that's an advantage or disadvantage, we'll find out later during the interior noise measurement. Where Peugeot, I think, has done an awesome job visually at first glance is right here in the door panel. It's lightly padded here. It could be a bit more generous for those who enjoy a little elbow room on long-distance journeys. Can hurt a bit here, I'm telling you from experience. We've been on the road for almost 14 days with the car, and then here... Yeah. At first, I thought it was fabric, but quite actually, it's made entirely of plastic, which somehow...
Simply covered with a fabric.
Yeah, or like a film, which feels rough too. Comment if you expected real fabric for quality, or say as long as it looks like fabric. That's enough for me. Here is a nice aluminum setup, by the way. It has ambient lighting here, either backlit or lit up. It looks great at night and creates a wonderful vibe. It's truly well done. There's hard plastic here, not an issue. A door handle, window and mirror controls, all a bit like a chip shop counter. Then we have this really nice soft padding with an ingenious bulge here, which feels remarkably great and comfortable when you rest your hand on it. But if you look here like me, I'm a bit sturdier built, and then you want to get into this compartment here, it's totally in the way.
Yeah, that's nice. I have that over there too.
So either my watch gets stuck or I can't get in at all, and then I have to twist myself somehow to reach in here like this. I can't really show it well in the video right now, but this edge here, this bulge here, is definitely disruptive concerning this compartment. But with this subject, look at what Peugeot offers, like the finest felt here. Really well done, so that nothing rustles or rattles. Here they somehow forgot to line just the inside with felt, thinking, well, nobody's gonna see it. But in a base model, you'll find everything is hard plastic down here, but at least it's got a nice grain visually. I find that quite appealing. So I really must say it's très chic indeed. A warm welcome to the dashboard area of the Peugeot E-5008. In the end, it's all a matter of taste from both the outside and the inside. What I like is that Peugeot is pleasantly different. When thinking about interiors, than maybe more traditional car manufacturers here in Germany, that means they thought about, how can I possibly save on the head-up display since the E5008 doesn't have it, by basically relocating this 21-inch curved display to the upper level beneath the windshield, so that I essentially always have the shortest and most direct line of sight when I look downward to this 21-inch display screen. The curved display is really cool. It's elegantly floating and looks quite chic with a sophisticated touch.
From the display side, indeed.
Then we have a fantastic multifunction steering wheel here, which can be adjusted in height and distance, and it's also nicely compact, easy to grip, and very sporty. But where I somehow encounter issues is in figuring out how to properly adjust it. Because if I lower it completely, as I'm technically supposed to do to fully view the display, then it's almost too tight for me. Around the legs, it's definitely something to get used to. Many people who drive a Peugeot absolutely love it because it's nice and compact, not a massive, clunky beast like the ones you often find from other, more traditional car manufacturers. Turn signal and lights on the left, the wiper lever is on the right. Then we have this touch-sensitive, multifunctional area with haptic feedback buttons underneath. To be fair, one has to consider how that operates in everyday usage now after. For nearly 14 days, things have been running smoothly. On the left side, manage cruise control, steering, and lane assists. While on the right side, it's fully focused on infotainment features. Voice control and phone. Yes, up here we have various views available where we can insert a navigation map or choose to keep the display a bit more minimalist to suit our preference. All that just as you require it, and right here we basically have the infotainment display once more, where you have a range of different options to choose from. Then just swiping back and forth between the individual levels, eventually leading you to a graphical overview. I believe everything is beautifully done, highly responsive, and extremely well executed. Then we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto Wireless included as features. It's always important, so I think it's great to be able to conveniently mirror your smartphone on this system. I really like it too. And then we have this plastic layer here again, which looks like fabric from a distance, with the aluminum surface, all nicely backlit tactile air vents. I think everything is nicely done. Up here, it's also nicely padded. By the way, softer padding than in the doors. A tip for Peugeot, perhaps? Consider if it wouldn't be more sensible to have padding for an elbow in the doors rather than having softer padding up here. However, that's merely my personal opinion, which I'd like to openly share with you. Then we have this start-stop button here, which absolutely drives me crazy. Because I naturally often get out of the car without pressing this button, then you're outside with the key in your pocket. It doesn't recognize the key and you can't turn it off from outside. You pretty much have to get back in with the key to turn off the car completely. Whoever came up with the idea deserves a round of applause. Anyway, we've got the gear selector located here, and to be honest, I would have liked it down here. It would be closer to the driver and better aligned with the natural range of motion, but that's subjective. There's a piano lacquer finish here, which I don't really like, but that's really up to each individual person to decide. Additionally, there's a secondary level here where you can make a very nice selection of options in advance, such as the climate menu, for instance. Below, you find the inductive charging pad and a few shortcuts. Mention again, climate control, rear defroster, recirculation, front defroster, drive modes like Eco, Sport, Normal, Comfort, Hazard Switch, volume and tuning controls, quite cool, and the electronic parking brake available. To control the seat or steering wheel heating, you actually have to tap into the climate menu. and then select Seats. Seats, and then you navigate here to select the steering wheel heating. After that, you can activate the seat heating in 3 distinct levels. Moreover, if you swipe back and forth here, you can also utilize the optional seat ventilation feature. It's quite a complex process, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they could have made it a bit simpler with the use of some small buttons.
I mean, I could use your help here. On one hand, you guys like simplicity, also known as a US supercar maker, everything on display, no buttons to be found. In daily life, I just want the seat heater on at minus 10 degrees, as I did today in the Peugeot, starting at level 3, then down to 2, 1, and maybe turning it off. I've got to access climate, then switch to radio, go to navigation, and finally Apple CarPlay. I'm just switching back and forth. Here,
Isn't it annoying?
I tend to prefer having multiple buttons, but in the end, it's not about my personal opinion, it's actually all about yours. I'm looking for your help to understand how you view this. Located down here is the center console, which includes a slightly recessed storage space specifically designed for a variety of different items, where you might place your phone or other bits and bobs. We have 2 USB-C ports here, one dedicated just for charging, and another one essentially also transferring data into the car, for example, perhaps a USB-C stick with music and other things. You have a nice compartment here and a big compartment where you can store your wallet or other items. You can close it nicely, well done. We measure interior noise and 0 to 100 with the Dragi's GPS antenna, and there's a cup holder here, set at various heights, be it higher or lower. It provides a bit more room in this section compared to up top. So down there is up there. I don't really know why it's not perfectly the same size, but maybe it is the same size and it just seems different to my eyes. I really can't say for sure. But at any rate, you can put cups and bottles in there. It's crafted quite nicely. Or maybe it's just standard, right? However, there is nothing to pull over or anything like that. Peugeot simply doesn't provide that. Where Peugeot does provide is here again in the area of the central armrest. Here's a nice compartment. There's also tiny ventilation inside. I suppose that if you place a water bottle inside there during summer, it could stay cooler. Then you have another coin pocket level here that you can just insert like this. I think it's well done too. It's slightly rubberized so it doesn't rustle or rattle. And then they split it in 2 so that the passenger can still reach it even when the driver has their big, heavy elbow resting right on top of it. It's all in faux leather. I find it quite chic. So from that perspective, I really think it offers a nice, valuable sense of quality. Yeah, one thing we can definitely do here is open a sunshade, really nice and sturdily built. I find it really quite important, particularly in July and August when it gets extremely hot here in Germany. We can effectively avoid what we call the hot plate effect by ensuring the sun's rays aren't directly beating down so much on our heads. We have this expansive glass surface here. It offers a really nice opening, but you can only open this specific section. So we're curious, Peugeot. Why not make it larger? What's the reasoning behind this decision? There's more than enough space, isn't there? Look, if you move the camera back a bit, you potentially could have opened up half of it. Or possibly even more, like the Fisker Ocean. Remember its exceptionally huge roof opening? That was really impressive, right? It's a bit disappointing because it feels like a missed opportunity for something truly great. For all the fresh air enthusiasts among you who genuinely love to let the refreshing breeze in during spring, summer, and autumn, you might find yourselves feeling somewhat restricted by the design of this current setup. As you say so nicely, Luke, limited. The view through the passenger door shows you this center console concept again. There's unfortunately no shelf down here where you can place a bag or a small men's pouch. Might also be due to the mixed platform because we can get the Peugeot 5008 as a mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid as an alternative. Maybe there are batteries or other things stored away there. I find that a bit unfortunate.
It was definitely nice to have an extra storage.
Because you've really gotten pretty accustomed to placing your man bag together with my man bag, haven't you? Yeah, what Peugeot, or more broadly the Stellantis group, tends to excel at are clearly the seats. Just take a look at this incredibly wide seat. It's not just that it has Peugeot embossed in there with a lion design. It's truly awesome. Moreover, it's beautifully crafted with detailed seams. It includes a comfort feature that lets you adjust it to your liking. Then we have a honeycomb pattern here. There's perforation for seat ventilation. We have the seat heating included on board. Additionally, there's the Healthy Back Working Group feature, meaning it provides beneficial support for your back. I believe that an optional massage function is available, though I think our particular model doesn't include it. Moreover, you have the option to extend the seat here, so if you find yourself having long items like I do, you can extend the seating area accordingly to suit your needs. The seat is truly comparable to the comfort level of a high-end recliner chair.
Seems quite cozy.
It's definitely one of the very most amazingly comfortable seats you can find out there, not just in this price range, but as a whole everywhere. This faux leather, they dropped Nappa leather, likely doesn't fit electric mobility. That feels awesome. It's a good material. You can also get it optionally with Alcantara, as the Spaniard says, so microfiber fabric, or just in the base with fabric seats. I truly have to say, Peugeot, hats off to you and Stellantis for coming up with this seat concept. We'll take another look from the back as well to see how amazing the rear side is crafted. You could have transferred that for us a little bit here onto the glove compartment, because here it's truly, as you always say, when things are really nice.
Here's nice van plastic, right?
Yeah, so sorry guys, right?
What an enormous whopper.
I mean, look, back here you get the finest felt, right? I mean, at least it's textured, right? Well, you have to give them that, even if it seems a bit flashy. But couldn't they have at least managed to create a slight foamy effect with it? I mean, from 51,150 euros, there really should be more included. When I take a look at that entrance, it's already clear to me who's not paying enough attention to where they step. Rumors, aren't they?
Absolutely sure.
I personally know someone who's been consistently driving for a total of 34 years, and they're quite likely now at the 35-year point. That one's never rattled. I'm just talking nonsense. But folks, if you're on Strelitzer Straße, stop by Park Hotel Versenarien in Neustrelitz. I'll take a ride with you, with the participants. It rattles, right?
Certainly.
And if no one is sitting here, Zrenia, and Peugeot is known for comfortable, soft suspensions, then it rattles. Even if you ride noise-free for another 10 years, totaling 44 years, I won't make it. Feel free to comment on what I need to do to stop it from rattling, just like it did for you. But with me, it rattles, and as long as it rattles, I'm going to bring it up because I just don't like it when it rattles. Honestly, I'm not really feeling like filming cars with a third row of seats anymore. Because in most cars, you really have hardly any space except now in the EV9. And Ioniq 9. That was really awesome.
The operating in and out process is also quite a...
Look, don't take it the wrong way. I'm 6 feet tall, weighing a deer like 220 pounds. So perhaps it's not completely clear to me, Powerhouse, that you just jump right into this situation like that. But isn't that essentially assault? I mean, I'm being serious here, no kidding around at all. I'll go ahead and do it for all of you. Yeah, no problem at all, right? We can definitely manage that somehow. But sure, you're able to move the second row of seats, but just take a look, there's barely any headroom at all, right?
You're really stuck on it.
So, my legs are nearly positioned right in the very middle of the second row seats.
I think you can't even fold it back now.
I often find myself wondering, truly, I'm not kidding, I'm absolutely 4 kids and genuinely love families. I genuinely think it's absolutely wonderful when you have 2 boys who each bring along a friend, allowing you to take the whole group, whether it's 4, 5, or even 6 of them, to play soccer or something similar. But who actually does that in everyday life, right?
Growing won't fit back there either.
Feel free to leave a comment about how you feel about this third row of seats. You can still adjust the angle of the backrest. Hold on, we'll get this done somehow. I need to get my feet like this. Look, I can do it like this now, but my little belly just fits in there. No, but even for kids, how tall are they? 4 feet 6 inches or 4 feet 9 inches? Should they crawl in? Then you have, look, hard plastic everywhere. I have to be careful not to scratch up the test car when getting in and out. It's all just sort of like that, wouldn't you say?
I've thought it through.
Or as folks often say, intended and perhaps...
I could manage.
Well, that was mean.
You acted like you didn't mention it.
Well, but like with that old rail there when getting out, I crawled out like Moby Dick from the... out of the ocean, the Dutchman.
At this spot, someone else also got hit.
Honestly, I'm happy to sacrifice for you all, and I don't mind getting hurt for you, it's no issue. I'm doing all of this so you can have an amazing and memorable experience. Just like right now, I honestly need to take a moment to catch my breath as I carefully step in back here.
So yes, it's rather cozy in here, definitely.
I'm telling you, I'm completely exhausted. I mean, the energy you need just to get into it is already immense.
All right then.
Energy to get out of there. Well, anyway, he's positioned here slightly elevated, and that's by design. But it does cut down the headroom a little bit because Peugeot really wants to ensure that you have a good, clear view of what's behind from this position. And you have that. I have to say, I'm sitting here really comfortably. The seats are super comfortable. They actually provide, like in the front, I think a good cutout. The center armrest is also okay because the cup holder is in the front. So from that perspective, I believe it's already a truly successful room concept. You can now, look, Stefan, naturally move the bench, either to have more luggage space or for the legs of the people sitting in the third row. So from that perspective, it's all really well thought out. You can also adjust the backrest's inclination here, either slanted like this or straight like that. So that's all great.
Yeah.
What we also have here, by the way, is ISOFIX twice.
Yeah, but not in the last row at the back, right? No.
And also not on the passenger seat. It's a bit disappointing since it might get kicked too.
There are 2 ISOFIX seats here, so I'd say maybe 3, if not even 4, for the individual seats of the cow.
But if you, for instance, have 4 smaller children and don't want a van, then you also need a company ISOFIX, right?
Ja, dann wird's schwierig.
Yes, back here we have a really nice fabric. That's actually the sort of fabric I wanted here because this part is lacquered or maybe even covered with a film. So you see here, this is the real stuff and there's the plastic. Clever Peugeot, right? Yes, here's more of that hard plastic material with mesh. Let's wait and see. But look, this is soft here, see? That's already been softened. So right here, I genuinely have to stress, this is definitely not plastic at all. This is kind of a soft surface here. It's well done. Down here is plastic. Look here. But that's totally okay. Then we have a nice protection here when we slide our feet under. This is really well executed. Look, we have the rear climate zone here where we can easily adjust the temperature. What I couldn't find now is seat heating back here.
But you did. Yes, the seats are definitely placed on that thing.
Look there, huh? Why didn't you turn it on, Stefan?
Senior?
Pretty cool. We've got 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt outlet. For a cooler or something, a small compartment. I must say the second row of seats here is great.
Yes, that's fine. You have everything you need.
We have a coat hook here for hanging things, and also, take a look here. Also nice from the inside out. From the inside out. Because we also know what doesn't work from the outside in. Inside to outside. Then another curtain like that.
Fantastic.
And it's not crocheted, instead it's like this. Woven pattern, yes, and I must say I really like it.
Finished with exercise, let's drive.
I really have to stretch out again after that third row. Thankfully, my shins are feeling much better these days. We've given you a complete tour of everything, both outside and inside. Let's proceed to the drive report. Now we intend to thoroughly examine the Peugeot E-5008 along with its electric drive system. We want to start, as always, with the turning circle, and that's 11 meters 20, which I consider to be quite reasonable for a car that's 4 meters 80 in length. You can nicely maneuver the vehicle around here, even in the snow, allowing us to see firsthand how effectively the systems are able to manage when we apply a bit more pressure to the accelerator. Secondly, we want to try the classic with you guys, which means attempting to park in the space located on the right side. Naturally, it also comes equipped with various assistance systems on board, such as ultrasonic sensors, or in our case, with the top-of-the-line equipment, a 360-degree camera system, which we basically want to inspect more thoroughly, like how the car then parks itself in reverse here. That works very, very well. I think the resolution is actually quite okay too, right, Stefan?
It is.
In this section, you essentially have the side views once again, which you can easily choose from. At the back, you've got the large guideline, and at the front, there's also the front camera available. Can extend this to 180 degrees. I think it's key when pulling out of a driveway, not knowing if kids on bikes come from left or right, that you change it again. You also have the same thing at the rear area. So from that perspective, I think the Peugeot E-5008 supports you to the max. You have guidelines when reversing, which is important for some, as they might not be able to judge the front very well. Now we're going to take you on some cobblestones, where the guy hasn't heard a rattle for 34 years. What's that rattling? That's the yurt in the back.
Yes, there's nothing up front that could rattle.
Because you're strapped in.
Correct. Yeah, that is actually way back here.
And that's exactly what I mean, and I'm telling you the truth. By the way, check out the pothole here. Oh yes, nice, elegant.
Rolls over well, yeah.
And that's exactly what I always try to convey to you. I'm not trying to put you off the car or convey any rattling noises that the car might not even have. But on the contrary, I actually want to inform you honestly and well, and if things rattle with me. Yeah, what does it do? Then it rattles, right? What can I say? Then I'll just say that it rattles. we're back on our usual route, which is slightly more winding to give everyone the opportunity to experience the suspension system of the Peugeot E-5008 along with us. Unlike many other SUVs, it's not as rigid and hard-tuned as you might typically expect in European models. Instead, it's firmly comfortable, providing a ride that I must say exudes a certain level of elegance. And I think it also fits well with this vehicle. The steering might be a bit indirect, sort of, I would say maybe vague isn't the right term, but it could be a bit more direct, perhaps partly due to the vehicle's weight causing it to understeer slightly during more brisk cornering maneuvers. But the suspension is truly fantastic because it gently absorbs all those bumps and uneven surfaces, preventing them from jolting through to your spine. Wouldn't you agree, Stefan?
Yeah, that's really nice, I must say.
Later, we'll have Stefan's popometer react with you again to gain a broader impression as we travel through the countryside and towns. But right here in the tight corners, I must say, he handles it super smoothly and still gives you a secure feeling without being a rocking horse. There's a nice tight, almost 90-degree turn on the country road here for you, complete with a few bumps, and it maneuvers through it with genuine elegance. He gives a little bounce but tightens up immediately. And we've had other subjects where we thought we were going to fly off the curve, right, Stefan? Yes. And they were nowhere near as comfortable as Peugeot. I think Peugeot builds awesome suspensions. We noticed this with other Peugeot models like the E-5008, 208, and 2008. This is genuinely French artistry in suspension systems. What did you refer to it as just now?
Absolutely superb craftsmanship from France. Oh my god, if anyone else hears that. It's a good thing
that it doesn't actually appear in the video. And with that said, let's move on to the acceleration test. We started the Draghi and the GPS. I've put the Peugeot into its most sporty and performance-oriented mode. This is, in this case, the sport mode. And I'd say, Stefan, why don't you give us a countdown, okay?
3, 2, 1, and now let's get going.
And that pushes, it slowly gets the good 2.2 tons moving with us towards the 100 kilometers per hour mark. And as we gradually reach 100 kilometers per hour, we are eager to perform the brake test with you and see how it goes. How the plane comes to a stop, and I have to say, awesome brakes.
Wow, he's really got a solid grip, that's for sure.
Well, around 2.2 tons of curb weight, plus the two of us, built like Prayer Brothers, plus our film equipment, so that's about 2.5 tons, right?
Here is a shorter version. Numbers. 0 to 60 in 4.98 seconds. 0 to 100 in 9.81 seconds. 100 to 0.
2.67, that's a top value. And speaking of top values, Stefan, take a look out here. Here's a beautiful country road and you're allowed to drive 100 here. I'm stepping on the gas again, and let's just see how the Peugeot demonstrates its capabilities on these bumps. The suspension really handles them excellently. I'm not quite sure how they manage it, but somehow it's incredibly soft and comfy, yet still firm, ensuring we're not bumping our heads on the ceiling here. So that's actually really good. Nothing is noisy or misaligned here. Others have fully sprawled out and stretched comfortably in this space. And I have to be honest, how does Peugeot manage that, right?
That's really pleasant, yeah, truly.
It's such a smooth and incredibly comfortable suspension system on these bumps along this bumpy road you're traveling on. That's truly amazing. Let's revisit the acceleration values again, as that's where he really is. With winter tires, you could head to any Mecklenburg country road, which serves as our test track, and give it a try. Just see how it feels, right?
Yeah, it's definitely great, isn't it?
We should definitely commend Peugeot for this, given that others frequently provide fake numbers derived from roller tests, much like what a certain large American car manufacturer does. Honestly, I'd rather have a sincere value than get misled by some sort of deceptive packaging, don't you think? Definitely. And I have to say, Peugeot, you're doing that really well. We want to do the left-right combination with you again, of course, in the other direction. You can see nicely how it cushions softly and comfortably here. It's pushing a bit over the front axle here in the left turn. I would, as I mentioned before, perhaps wish for a more direct and precise steering once again. And here too, through the right curve, it maintains its nice position on line, which is quite impressive given its SUV body shape. We feel almost as if we're driving in half a van here. Now it does bounce a bit more firmly, but it really has to do that too. And now we're heading down here into the Suzuka S, into the right turn, and then the left turn. And I must say, Peugeot really does a fantastic job with that. We want to measure the interior sounds with you at 50 kilometers per hour. 59, 60 decibels, we're accelerating to 70. 62, 63 decibels, and we accelerate to 100 kilometers per hour. 70, 71 decibels, which indeed are really outstanding and impressive values. We are genuinely very eager and excited to thoroughly test out the steering and lane keeping assistant together with the adaptive cruise control feature with you here on this scenic country road. We carry out this test on all the vehicles. There's a sharper curve just coming up ahead. I always keep my hands ready to intervene if necessary, because there's oncoming traffic and we don't want to endanger anyone or ourselves, of course. But he's doing a good job. He keeps the car nicely in the middle of the lane. Now it shows 70 kilometers per hour on the traffic sign recognition system. That's complete nonsense. It's 100 here because the 70 zone only starts up ahead. Earlier there was a similar issue where the 30 zone wasn't cleared. When it comes to traffic sign recognition, we definitely have need for improvement. Yes, where we certainly have a need for more improvement is naturally in the adaptive speed adjustment system, and that's directly tied to the fact that the traffic sign recognition is not functioning well. We haven't really experienced them like this in the past.
Nee, nicht wirklich.
And
Nee.
especially not the predictive speed adjustment system, because these are indeed two features we would ideally like to have, even without having to press any buttons or make other manual adjustments. That he effortlessly drives 70 when it's 70, and likewise 100 when it's 100, but obviously it assumes that the traffic sign recognition system operates as close to error-free as possible. Now we've got a nice right turn coming up here. Let's just stay in the take for that one. Take a look at how smoothly he's handling it. Yeah, he's doing it quite perfectly, isn't he?
Yes, he balances up to the middle, but then he notices it.
Yeah, now he shifts a little to the left side, and then he's out of balance. And that's fundamentally the underlying issue with many of these assistance systems. This is where it distinctly sets itself apart from what you typically find in the VW group. In the VW group, including brands such as Audi, Skoda, and Volkswagen, Porsche, Dodge, along with BMW and Mercedes, and now even with Renault, it works well with staying centered in the lane. Yes.
That's right, they're all good, yeah.
So, what I truly hope for is that Peugeot and Stellantis will eventually be able to reach that level as well. Now let's take a look ahead, Stefan. We've now got 70 right here at the moment. Let's shift back a little to get the speedometer in view properly. Now we're hitting 50, and with the car here, absolutely nothing happens at all. So not like I can press OK now. He then does OK question mark, but what's the point of OK question mark if I'm driving into town at 70? So what is that? I don't mean to be rude, but he should be saying, do you want to drive 50? I hit OK then.
Works E.
Then he slows down to 50. Because if there's a speed camera, which isn't exactly rare in Mecklenburg, I'll be caught on camera.
Richtig.
And it stays here at OK? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So, my friends, I have to be quite honest. This isn't precisely what you'd call the top of the top. Well, sorry, Peugeot, right? I mean, it can be better, right? Let's see if it works better with the music, shall we? Okay, eh?
Yeah, I'd say it's certainly sufficient.
So we have this standard sound system here. We didn't find a label from any well-known manufacturer. I'm not sure if that's actually available as an option. For those who are true audio enthusiasts, it's really not quite the acoustic delight you might hope for, right?
It's not a groundbreaking revelation, but it is adequately sufficient.
I always thought the French were famous for great music too, right?
All right, you know.
We are eager to test out the voice control feature with you and say, hey Peugeot! Hey Peugeot! Drive us over to Munich to Viktualienmarkt number 1. Drive us to Munich heading towards Viktualienmarkt number 1. Set course for Munich towards Viktualienmarkt number 1. Not quite sure what to do.
All right, we've by now honestly tried everything.
Abort.
Yes, he understood that.
Wasn't it, huh?
Weird.
Yes, that's definitely quite unsatisfying. You truly have to be honest and acknowledge it like that, because I just wanted to drive to Munich with you guys to show you precisely how you can plan the routes here and hopefully figure out the charging schedule successfully. And we'll just do that manually here now. You can see the voice control is still somehow meddling around. Let's go to routes now. Head over to driving mode and then you essentially make the necessary quick stop planning. Very, very efficiently. So you have to say, in all honesty, it really seems to be working quite well. Of course, we could potentially integrate a more detailed overview here, but when you think about it, we practically have that already implemented. Let's see what happens when we click here. Nothing really happens because it's still somehow here. That's kind of, I don't know what to make of it, so write in the comments how you see it. That's not really 100% up to date, don't you think? So I can either click here or not, and then center it. I'm honestly not sure about this. I mean, I should somehow be able to do something here, right?
It's apparently there in some way or another, but just not fully developed yet, right?
Biegen Sie rechts ab.
Well, I don't really know. So perhaps it's the notorious user error once more, isn't it? Is it possible, Stefan, we have a user error here? So check it yourself. South. As I said. Sorry, Peugeot, I'm probably somehow incompetent here now. Let's just wrap things up. It's kind of a shame, though. Let's move on to the driving and travel comfort. We're driving over some nice Mecklenburg cobblestones here. You find that quite often? And for that purpose, we established an independent body nearly 5 years ago. Employing Stefan's trustworthy popometer, let's check out how it stacks up in the Peugeot E-5008 on this fine day.
Alright, I'll kick off with the seats as usual. To be honest, they are exceptionally cozy, just as they appeared to be earlier on. I have nice lateral support up top as well. The shoulder pads or shoulder rest are also very nice. You can really lounge here nicely, just like in a comfy chair. I've also got a good thigh support. I find the suspension very comfortable. Even here, I'm gliding smoothly over the cobblestones. Potholes are no problem. Sure, something like speed bumps or so, then it gets a bit too soft, I think, in my opinion. I would have preferred it to be a bit cooler. Yeah, but other than that, it's quite alright.
Yes, I can only agree with that. For a steel spring suspension, I think it's very, very well tuned. You might almost think there was a kind of advanced air suspension system installed here, because it really manages bumps, manhole covers, and everything else very comfortably. So it's truly an outstanding feature. And the seats, I have to add, in my opinion, they are consistently very, very good, particularly the ones endorsed by the Healthy Back Association, which is really reassuring. And therefore, I believe when it comes to travel comfort, I don't think there's any Peugeot that has been negatively noticed so far. That genuinely brings an impressive amount of happiness and also a whole load of fun. We've documented an average combined consumption experience for you from 490 kilometers in total, incorporating shares of city driving, country roads, plus some highway. So, over the course of nearly 14 days or so, it currently stands at 26.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which certainly reflects a typical consumption value expected during the winter season. I think it can be significantly more economical during the summer months, and I would like to refer you to the upcoming second video, which will be available in just a few days. And then, with the consumption test and charging check, we explicitly take a drive through New Brandenburg with a 7-kilometer route. We'll do another consumption drive overland with a 7-kilometer route, and then at 100, 120, 140, 160 kilometers per hour with average highway speed plus the charging check. I believe the second video could be extremely interesting for you as well if you're looking to gain more insight into the consumption details of the E-5008. So let's get to the conclusion or interim conclusion on the Peugeot E-5008. I must admit, from the exterior, it's quite an appealing vehicle, which I find really impressive. I think this pleasantly different design inside is a refreshing change and quite delightful as well. You'll have to make an individual decision on whether it suits your style, or if perhaps it might not fit you at all. Fortunately, personal preferences indeed vary quite significantly, and my main points of criticism are primarily directed somewhat towards... When it comes to drive and battery technology, I'm not particularly fond of front-wheel drive in electric cars because when there's a bit of slip, the wheels can sometimes spin unexpectedly. With its 157 kilowatts, 213 horsepower, and a hefty weight of 2.2 tons, it's really more of a cruiser than anything extremely quick.
Richtig, genau.
Well, I just think it's really disappointing that Peugeot hasn't quite grasped, unlike other car manufacturers, that the true excitement is in being nimble and quick on the move. Can accelerate slightly, that the electric drive takes advantage of these benefits over the combustion engine, instant high torque, and all these topics. And it's likely that a rear-wheel drive might be more suitable for the E-5008 compared to front-wheel drive. But that's a matter of taste too. What I really don't like is that we don't have a front. Having air conditioning and temperature control in the battery is crucial in my opinion. Without these features, it would, in my personal view, likely be a deal-breaking factor that I couldn't overlook. Because I have absolutely no desire to mess around here with 20, 30, 40 kilowatts anymore. Remember my Colgate moment with the Audi e-tron GT that cost nearly 150,000 euros? Those days are behind us now. In my view, thermal management for the battery is an absolute must-have by 2025, and Stellantis, in my opinion, is not taking the progressive route I would expect. That's where she has to be honest. If people say, I only charge at home or I have an E-5008 as a second car, which I only use to take the kids to school and friends to sports, then that might be the perfect option for you. I think I would also lean towards the long range, which is coming soon in 2025, because with such a heavy SUV never has enough battery. Sure, it would probably cost another 4,000 or 5,000 euros, but it's worth it to me since I don't like dealing with slow charging. And with that, we've come to the conclusion of today's video. I really hope you found it enjoyable. You give it a thumbs up. Please check again if you're part of the Einfach Elektrisch community. We'd be delighted if you'd support us with your subscription. It's free and helps us to continue growing. And you definitely won't miss the second video if you hit the notification bell. This way, you'll receive an alert when the video detailing the consumption drive and charging check is available online. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon. Yours, Ollie. I truly love and deeply appreciate these wonderful lion claws right here.
Yeah, they executed that really well. Honestly, it's also my visual highlight on this vehicle.
That really looks brutal when it comes at you like that.
That is really cool. Like the entire silhouette, actually.